Can you hear me? You're not on mute again? Okay, cool. We'll start. So fade the gap indicator, I started this trading this way 2 years ago. It's pretty straightforward. Anyone that's has it added to their chart will have the fade the gap one. Fade the gap plus adds this bar at the top, which just shows you any open gaps in the past, just for easy reference. It also has a couple other things like alerts, and it also has you can offset the labels here, which you can't do on the original one. There is plans to add more features in the future, probably middle of November, and then again maybe December, maybe the new year. Anyway, I'll go through what I do in the morning to make so in the morning here we'll go to trading pad, replay trading. We'll go back, I don't know. Let's get out of where the election was. Let's go here. So in the morning at 9 o'clock Eastern time, before New York open, this chart at the bottom, the table at the bottom, will start to update. I'll make it bigger so you can see it. Oh, oh. So this table will update starting at 9, but you got to be on electronic trading hours, which is down here in the bottom. I don't use this on mobile because the charts don't scale properly and you can't see the table properly, and then this gets in the way, and so I don't use mobile for this. If you are exclusively using mobile, you probably have to turn your phone sideways to look at it properly. The best way to use it is on a desktop. So at 9, so this is 6:15 on Friday, October 25th. So the market's closed. So the next morning would be open, would be a Monday. I'm on. Why isn't it updating properly? What the heck? Huh. Why didn't this one work? That's weird. Huh. That is completely bizarre. Okay, well, we're gonna go. I don't know why that one's not showing up. That's weird. So at 9, if we go back to this bar here, you know what? I'm gonna start this over. This is insane. I don't know what the heck's going on. Give me a minute. Okay, let's see if we can get this to work now. Okay, fade the gap, simple. Add it to your chart. I'll go through, let's go through settings. Up here, session, the indicator is built strictly, I wouldn't say, not strictly, the indicator is built for US markets. You can use it on other markets. I haven't tested it thoroughly enough to say that it's perfect, but if you're going to trade futures or stocks, it'll work as intended. If you're going to use anything else, if you're trading, I don't know, Australia market or Japan or Asia, anything else, you'll have to mess with the settings to line it up with your chart properly. You'd have to pick your time zone and then the range you want to trade. The plots are simple. Show only active day lines and labels. You can turn this on and off, which if you select it off, what it does is it shows all the past gaps and if they filled or if they're still open. I usually leave that off. I usually have it selected on, which takes them off the chart just so it's not so cluttered. Show daily open and previous day close labels. It's not working. Why is it not working properly? Oh, there, that one works. Weird. Okay. So all these plots do something different, obviously. Daily open and previous day close. That's these numbers here. You select it on and off. If you don't want them on, you don't have to have them on. I keep them on. Show custom percent fill gap. This is this one in the middle. You can turn that off. If you're not going to use a custom fill line, you can just hope and go for the whole thing. Max drawdown line, which we'll plot up here, which is, I usually have it off. I don't use it. I put it on there in case someone else wanted to test it out as part of their strategy. I don't use it. The average drawdown line, same thing. You can select it on and off. I'll go through and tell you what these all do in a minute. Alerts are pretty straightforward. So in the morning at 9:30, it'll send you an alert whether to go short or whether to go long. It'll also send you an alert when the gap is completely filled. When there's your custom fill line, it'll tell you when that line is hit and then when the average drawdown line is hit. You can select those on and off, whichever ones you want to use. I have them all on just so when I'm busy away from the computer, if something goes off, I can come back and check it. The dashboard. So the dashboard is down here, this table at the bottom. It's pretty straightforward. I can go through it for you. So the table position is obviously pretty straightforward. You can move it from here to put it up here or put it in this corner, that corner. That doesn't matter. The size, I put it on large so you guys can see it. Background color, text color, and border color, that's pretty straightforward. That just changes it if you want to customize your colors. Custom gap fill percentage check. So this right now is set to 50, which is 50%, which means it's halfway between the close of yesterday and today's open. If you change this number down to 40%, it'll move up because you're in a gap up. So now this line is 40% from the open to the close, if that makes sense. When you adjust this line, it'll adjust your custom fill down here. The default is 50. So the pass gaps threshold range. So your pass gaps is, so this gap size was 0.33. So if you have it set to 0.05, like it is in default, it'll take everything from 0.28% all the way up to 0.38%. I only did that because to get bigger data sets. If you set this to 0, which you can do if you want, this pass gaps will be 0 because there is no pass gaps in the data set going back to 2021 that is 0.33, which I find hard to believe actually. But I keep it on 0.05 so it kind of gets a range of gaps in the past. Total gap count. Okay, so this is if you have the plus, this is up here. So you can set that to whatever you want. If you want to see 100 days in the past, it'll show you 100 days and where the gaps are. Just so you know if you're using that. I just do it for a visual. I don't really use it for any kind of entry or exit. It's more just a visual to see in the past, looking at trends basically. I usually keep it on 45 only because it doesn't interfere with this up here. So if you have the plus indicator, so this first bar here on the left hand side is yesterday, and then this is yesterday plus 1, so this would have been, so yesterday would be actually today because market closed at 4. So this was Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, Friday. So this is yesterday's close, and then yesterday plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. That makes sense. You can also turn on the historical. You can turn this off and you'll see all of the stuff too, which will line up with this. I just don't like having this one on, so I keep this one on so you can see past gaps visually without it making it your chart ugly. What else you got here? Gap table position. So that's this up here. You can move that like the other one. You can leave it up at the top, or you can stick it back at the bottom, wherever you want to do. You can turn it on and off. So style, this is all the to personalize it for your chart. If you have custom colors that you want to use or whatever, that's pretty straightforward. All that stuff, you can mess around with it and figure that out pretty easily, what it all does. Just changes the lines and the fill colors. Paint fill gaps is different color. You can change that. It's pretty straightforward. So how does it work, I guess? I guess that's where we're at now. If at 9 a.m. in the morning, this chart down at the bottom will update starting at 9 based on whatever percentage it is from the day before close, if that makes sense. So let's see if replay trading works now. So if we go back to Wednesday, I don't know, we'll go here. So this is a 15-minute time frame. This is noon. Let's get to the next day. So this is all, so this is where it closed, obviously, right? So this is all the overnight price action that's it's showing right now. And when it gets to 9 a.m., so that's 8 8:30. So you'll see down here the gap size will start to change based on all this data that happened overnight and where price is in relation to where it closed the day before. So it changed, right? When at the 9 o'clock candle, it changed to 0.11. So that's telling me that price at 9 a.m. is 0.11% below the closing price. I didn't put negatives into here. You just have to know where it was the day before. You can see it. It's easy to see. So this will update at 9, and it'll update continually until 9:30 when the market opens, and then it'll stay static for the rest of the day because this number isn't going to change anymore unless you change it in the settings. So this number will stay the same for the rest of the day. So what day is this? Tuesday. So it gapped up because the close the day before was 5744.25 and it opened at 5753. So if you have the plus version, you would have gotten an alert to go short. This was a bad day to go short though, as you can see. So you would, and anyway, you would have entered short. But when the market is at 9 and it's bouncing around and you're trying to figure out, I'm in here trying to figure out this gap fill because I want the gap fill percentage 80 or above. So it's 50% is at 88. I would have left it there. Tuesday was the election day, so I stayed out that day. I didn't touch anything because it was going to be volatile, so I stayed out. So you would have hit the average Jow down. That's my stop. I would have got out here, right at this level here. The average drawdown line is my stop. There is a future update to try to figure out what the reversal percentage is when it hits this. It's kind of put together now, but I'm still trying to tweak it to get the proper data set. Anyway, so that's basically how you use it. This is the election day. So it just climbed like crazy. So here's the next day. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I don't know. I don't know if there's many people in here that want to ask questions. I don't think there's anyone in here other than you. Is there anyone else in there that wants to ask questions? What the heck? Stupid thing. No? No questions. Cool. Anyway, it's pretty straightforward. If the market gaps up, you want to go short. If the market gaps down, you want to go long. This is the data telling you what the probability of that happening in the past is. It's no guarantee that it'll happen again, but it is a good indication of what might happen. That's really as simple as it is. It's not complicated at all. You don't have to, there's no magic to it. It's just Gaps up, go short. Gaps down, go long. This is the data that tells you what the probability of that happening is. Do you track unclosed gaps for future targets? Unclosed gaps in the past, if some people say they're like magnets in the market and they pull price. I don't know if that's entirely true. I think there is some statistics around it that might look like it's the case. I haven't tested it to see what that is, but I mean, the, the only thing I really track past gaps for is when you get a series of gaps that don't close. Eventually, I find that there's a higher chance that the next day will close. This week is not a good example because of the election, because it's gapped up 3 days in a row now and it keeps going. I don't know when that's going to stop. So it's not a very good week for trading gaps unless it's a gap down, which we haven't had yet. So yeah, I don't know. Like the only thing I track past gaps for is just to look at trends, and I'm not creating a entry or exit strategy based on them, other than if there's 3 in a row, I'm good. Hopefully the fourth one isn't just more of the same and it's going to close its gap. But that's it. I don't use it for anything other than that. I really don't think they're like magnets. I think price will just play into the gap. Eventually, all gaps are going to get closed because price goes up and down. I don't think they're a magnet. I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't trade that way and I haven't tested it, but anything else you want to ask? Are you the only one in here? Where's that guy that keeps bugging me about stuff? I don't know. What was that guy's name that was bugging me all the time? I don't know. I feel like I didn't explain that very well. I will see what happens, but I think it's pretty straightforward. It's not like hard to understand. Maybe it is for other people because I created it, so I know how it works, but I think the logic's pretty straightforward. I always trade one contract. My size is always the same. Um, Unless like this week I traded half size, so I went to micros. I only traded today actually. Did I trade? I didn't trade yesterday. I played 5 micros today. Yeah. Um, I do have plans to add something to the indicator so people can enter like their account size and it should spit back like a position size that you should be taking. I haven't figured out how to do that yet and what I'm going to base it on. I just always trade one contract. Um, I know that John Carter trades gaps and he trades on increments of 3, and he never goes over 9. So he'll enter with 3 contracts, and he'll add to the position if it goes against him. But he only adds when it goes. So way he does it is when price moves away from his entry, he'll enter again when it comes back to the open price, if that makes sense. And he'll add, and then he has, when he adds to the position, now he only needs 50% of what he was trying to get out of the market with only 3 contracts, because now he has 6, so his target is smaller, obviously, because he's increased his size so he can reduce his target, if that makes sense. That's how he does it. But there's all kinds of ways to trade gaps. You don't have to just pick one way to do it. I mean, whatever works. If you're more tolerable to risk, take a bigger position. If you're less tolerable, play a smaller position. Use one micro. Another interesting thing is, if I've been tracking lately, is using deviations. I've noticed that the average drawdown is always around 1.5 standard deviations, which is interesting, because John Carter, when he trades, his stop is always 1.5 times bigger than his target, and he always tries to go for a full close, and unless it's a certain size, then he won't play at all. So there's all kinds of ways it's a tool. It's not meant to just be used one way. You can build your own strategy on how you want to use it. I trade one way because I'm usually out within 30 minutes of open. And then I can go about my day and do other things, because I have a bunch of other stuff that's going on in my life. But if you have time to sit in front of a computer and trade all day, then you can trade it a lot differently than I do. Anyway, if no one has any more questions, I think that's it. I'll see if this should work this time. I don't know how good my explanation was, but hopefully it helps some people out. I think most people get it. I'll hang out here for a bit. I stopped the recording so I can sit on the stream for a while, and I think that's how that works. Is that how that works? It still streams but it doesn't record, and then you hit start recording and it will record some more. No problem. There's lots of updates coming, so they might take a while to produce, but they're coming. And the free version, I mean, there's more than enough information on the free version to use it as a tool to trade with. All the other extra stuff is just bells and whistles that makes it a bit easier, but I think the next thing, once I get this completely built, is building a strategy indicator to let it run by itself. I don't know how comfortable I am doing that, but we'll see. Not building it, but just letting it run by itself.